All right, so let's get into this. So, where do you think the international part of this whole fits into the plan for the average Amazon seller over the next 1 to 3 years?
Yeah, good question. I think what a lot of Amazon sellers saw in 2020 was that their sole reliance on Amazon.com or just like selling on Amazon alone. And I think that was scary for a lot of sellers who either couldn't get their inventory in because it was not deemed necessary, or, I forget what the technical term was, but or they couldn't get enough of their inventory in to launch new products. I think their cap on all these different inventory levels was frustrating for a lot of sellers. So I'm hearing a lot from my show, but also just other people who are selling on Amazon, is their ability to diversify and find different revenue channels, not just solely reliant on Amazon. And when I talked to Shane over at PR Reach, he was, very much building out a brand on both, off Amazon, and so that you can either that's on Shopify or that's on different marketplaces, so that you can grow that community like you are or another brand would, do. Internationally, I think that there's so much opportunity for people not to start taking a serious look at growing into different marketplaces like Europe or UK. A lot of people are touting, Brexit's not as big of a deal. It's just you put inventory in UK and also in Germany, for example, and then it can still fulfill everywhere. But even marketplaces like Japan or budding markets like Singapore, and eventually, hopefully, India and whatnot, those are going to start to grow and get traction once Amazon figures out their way into that marketplace and be competitive. So it's still not a tested market. It's a tested market, but it's not something like where the US market is currently. But that can change in an instance like the US market did. And once you ride that wave upward, I think a lot of sellers will start to see the benefit of international growth as well.
So, and where do you see the fastest growth coming from?
Yeah, I think just on from Ping Pong's perspective, the data was interesting this year because it was an outlier year. I think we saw everything speed up in terms of everyone would try to get on Amazon. Everyone was trying to get on e-commerce in general. But when you look at actual tangible numbers of growth, and you look at like the big days like Prime Day or on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, those didn't grow as much as they did in years past. And I think that's because overall, just daily habits of buying online were spread out so much that people weren't just focused on those singular days. You saw it on advertisements like on Target. You saw it on Walmart. They touted big, really long, month-long promotions instead of, just one major day where there was so much growth in volume happening. But I think in terms of growth, it was recently announced that Target's going to be a marketplace. So Target, by definition, is a retailer, but is trying to grow their online presence. Walmart's really still popular, but not competing with Amazon. But on different marketplaces, like building your own channels, I think those are going to start to take off. And then international marketplaces for US sellers, I should say, in Europe is really a budding market. And then, of course, in Japan, I keep telling Japan, I think Japan's it's the third most popular Amazon marketplace. But it's really hard to figure out like what's going to do well there. Obviously, you're talking about 4+ languages that you have to decipher for your PPC, for your listings and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really budding market in terms of what's popular over there, with Rakuten, with Amazon. So I think those are the major places really where you're going to see growth.